Okay, hi teachers. This is term 2, week 7, instruction guide or instructional guide for P3. There'll be 2 booklets for this session. Okay, we'll focus more on the first booklet, and then the second booklet is heuristics. For that one, right, I will talk more about it in a while. But basically, for that question, for that booklet, right, it main thing is just for them to, you can actually do it as practice, right, for them in class, right? So work can be done in class instead of assigning as homework, but I'll get that more in a bit. So for the first booklet, 0325 SWP1/1. Okay, so this is the main focus of the lesson. And the idea is they've already learned multiplication, right? They've already learned division, right? With and without regrouping, with remainder. So it is about application to word problems, okay? Now, typically, right, a lesson would start with the learn segment, right? And I've realized that increasingly, it may not be useful to just, explain the learn segment to the student just like that, especially when it comes to drawing bar models, right? Students are just looking at the bar model, which have already been drawn, and it is a bit more challenging for them to understand the process, especially for those who are not familiar with drawing the bar model yet. So instead of going through, the learn segment, all right, I would suggest that you start off by telling them, what is the learning objective, right, which is application of multiplication and division on word problems, and then, okay, go straight into guided practice, right? That is on page 3 here. Okay, and so instead of getting them to do it on their own, right, you demonstrate, right? You work through the questions with them, right? Make sure that they model after you, right, along the way. So for example, the first question is this: Aini saved $171 in April. She saved thrice as much money in April as she did in March. How much did Aini save in March? So first of all, right, a question that I will ask them is how many bars should they draw? Right, they should be able to see that, oh, I need to draw one in April, one in March. So this is because it's actually comparing, or rather, no, in this case, yeah, it is about, like understanding of how much you spend in 2 months, right, April and March. So to model for them, all right, our approach is to get the students to draw question, or rather sentence by sentence. Okay, so let's get them to do this one first. I need save $171 in April. All right, so we know that, okay, we need to draw a bar model for April, and that is 171. So get them to draw about a quarter of the page, right? Okay, is it done? Not yet. They need to label it. Okay, so I can do it this way. It doesn't matter, right? The orientation, as long as they get it right. So they need to write 171 here. Remember to ask them to write the unit so that they will remember at the end of the day, write the answer. They need to write the unit of measurement in as well. So that's the first sentence, right? Get them to check. I need to save $171 in April. Is this $171 in April? Yes, it is. And then the next sentence, she saved thrice as much money in April as she did in March. So the question is, how much money, or whether she saved in April more or in March more. So by reading this question, right, thrice as much in April, it means that April would be 3 times as much as March. So now they need to do this, right? 3 times, right? 3 times is 3 units. And then March, so 3 times, that means that March is 1 unit. Okay. So make sure that they are doing this step by step together with you, right? Get them to understand the process, right? And then the final question, how much did Aini save in March? Where should they label the question mark? Here. Okay, question mark. Okay, now that they've drawn the bar model, right, you got to do the steps. Okay, so get them to think about what is known, right? So we know that each of these are 1 unit, 1 unit. So now they know that, okay, 3 units equals to 171. Write the unit of measurement in there as well. And remind them that when we use bar model method, right, it's always about finding the value of 1 unit first, right? After you find the value of 1 unit, okay, should be able to answer the question, right? So you find out 1 unit will be 171 divided by 3. And then, if let's say the question is, in this case, the question is how much save much. So much is 1 unit, so it's very straightforward, right? Sometimes you can even give them bonus question, right? How much did they save altogether? Then there'll be 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then so it'll be 4 units times whatever that you get, right? When you divide 171 divided by 3. Okay. Remember to get them to write the statement in as well, right? So they need to write statement, okay, and then that's done deal for the first question, right? Now let's move on to the second question. Okay, so again, use this to teach, right? Use the guided practice to teach instead. So let's read the question together with them. Mrs. Smith ordered 7 large boxes of apples for a grocery store, and then there were 80 in each box. So 80 apples in each box, right? And then there were 7 boxes. Oops. Can I undo? Let me see whether I got an undo button here. Yeah. Right. So there's 7 boxes, right? 7 boxes. Link it to here, right? 7 boxes. So she then packed as many apples as she could into bags of 6, right? And kept the remaining apples. So the first thing that they need to find out first, right, is how many apples did Mrs. Smith order? Okay, so let's draw the model now, step by step. So 7 large boxes of apples, that will be 7 units, right? So please draw it together with them. I know the answer key is here, right? But in class, you don't show them the already drawn answer key, of course, right? You draw it separately, right? Get them to practice drawing 7 units. Okay, right? So 7 large boxes. And next sentence, there were 80 apples in each box. So each box is 80. Okay, and then first question is, how many apples did Mrs. Smith order? So altogether, right? This will be the question mark. A question mark. Okay, so they need to solve A first, right? So get them to write out the equation. So 1 unit is 80, right? 7 units will be 7 times 80, right? 7, or you can do it this way: 7 units equals to, you can do it this way, you can do it this way as well, right? Equals to 80. Sorry, it should be 7 times 80, right? And then you get 560. Okay, so that's the answer. For part B, how many bags of apples did Mrs. Smith pack? Right? If let's say she could pack them into bags of 6, right? So how do you do this question? You can actually draw the model together. So now you know the total. Okay, you know the total, and this one is like guessing how many bags, right? So remember the dotted line, right? The question is total. Now each bag has got 6. And I believe there's a remainder for this question, right? So but what you can do here is like this first. So each into bags of 6, not 6 bags, right? So into bags of 6. Okay, and then the total is 560, right? It should be more, right? 560, because there should be some remainder here, right? So you can extend a bit. All right, I'm not using a proper pen. I'm using a mouse, so it's a bit challenging. And so now you need to know how many, right? How many of it? So then, like you should ask them, so what is the operation here, right? Multiplication, division. So it's actually 560 divided by each bag of 6 to find out how many bags there are. Okay, so the working is very important, right? Get them to do the working. Okay, and then they should be able to get the remainder. When I say working, of course, we're talking about applying what they have learned in class last week. Okay, so they need to do this, right? Please ensure that they do this there, divided by 6. Okay, and then they will get the remainder. So the answer is that she can pack 93 bags. The remainder is what she keep for herself. Okay, so as long as I think once you have demonstrated, right, these two questions, they should be able to do a few on their own. So you can actually, I leave it to you, right, to pick maybe one question of each type for them to do. Okay, so look out for one that is purely multiplication and one is division, right? So this one is very easy. Perhaps you can assign as homework, but if you think you're not so sure, you can always assign this. This is a multiplication example. All right, and then this one is a division example, right? So you can actually get them to do this on their own, right? Look for questions that have remainder as well, right? So this kind of question, this good question 4 is good to do in class. You might want to assign it in class. Okay. Yeah, so because the main primary homework, right, is to do bar model, right? You might want to do a few more questions with them. Okay, and then except for question 12, right? Let me see, question 12 is for them to page 17, right, to write story. So let's not focus too much on that, right? Unless they are really ready. So I'd rather that you get them to in class, right, to get them to practice more on bar model drawing. All right, so the class is 1 hour. I would suggest that you spend at least maybe 40 minutes on this, right? You play by ear, right? If the class maximum is to spend 40 minutes on this, no longer than that. If you can get them to do within 30 minutes, that's fine, right? The rest will be done as homework. Okay, they must do this as homework. All right. And so that would be the first booklet, right? Let me move to the second booklet. So the second booklet, right, will be on heuristics. Okay, working backwards, right? Quite fun to do. So again, instead of using this as a teach segment, I would suggest that you just fast forward to the guided practice and you demonstrate how to do this, right? Help them read the question as well. When do they need to do use the so-called working backwards method? Now they need to know, they need to do the working backwards method when the question is about finding out what happens at first. So if you look at the question here, how many passengers boarded the bus at the terminal? So this is actually asking at first, right? Right, at first. At the terminal, some passenger boarded bus. So every time when they see the question is asking about at first, it is working backwards. Okay, this is at first. And then in the end is usually, well, the usual way, you don't work backwards. Okay, so please use this way to teach them, right? How to do the working backwards method. All right, so you can actually track it from behind. So this is drawn this way, right? But when we say work backwards, okay, we will work from this sentence first. Right, this is the first sentence. So how you draw that? When the bus left the second stop, there were 30 passengers. So 30 passengers at the end. Okay, and then you work backwards. All right, please use this method to teach them. I sometimes, right, I would actually, for students who are familiar with Doctor Strange, right? I think Doctor Strange is quite popular. Doctor Strange 2 is out. And Doctor Strange has this power, which he doesn't have now, right? Because of how the Infinity Stone was destroyed. So he can have some casual talk with the students, but he used to have this Infinity Stone, like the Time Stone, where it's able to turn back time, right? So in order to find out what happened, you go everything in reverse. All right, so you can show them, right? It started with 30, right? When the bus left the second stop, there were 30. What happens before it reaches 30? No one boarded the bus, but 12 passengers alighted. So 12 passengers alighted means what? 12 passengers alighted means 12 passengers got off, right? Okay, so got off means minus, right? When you work backwards, becomes plus, right? So use this method to show them. Okay, all right, so I'm not going to cover the whole question. I think the rest is quite explanatory, but again, please do not show them the answer key just like that, right? I find that just showing them the answer key, right, they will not be able to learn the actual process of drawing the model. All right, so please do it separate on your own. And then you can also demonstrate this question, right, with them. This is also working backwards. Okay. After that, there'll be time, right? You can get them to do this in class on their own. Remember, you don't need them to submit as homework. Okay, so you can just free and easy get them to do in class until the end of time. Okay, so the main homework, right, is the first booklet, right? Please get them to practice doing that. Right, have more homework assigned for the first booklet. Okay, hope that helps. Please do as best as you can, right? Stick to this instruction guide because we want to be consistent and to help students, right? To I mean, the focus of these two methods, right, is really to be able to apply the method, right, to be able to draw them. Okay, that's it for this guide. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.